Newest update to AITA for abandoning my siblings? I am still not the original poster. That is you, AITA87 throwaway. She posted in r, am I the asshole? You can find the original BORU post I wrote here. The newest update is actually 5 months old. Thank you to you, Choice Evidence 1983 for letting me know about the newest update. Latest update marked with trigger warning, homophobia, less than, mood spoiler. Things are better than they were, but still confusing and sad. Less than. Original post, May 13th, 2023. I'm not so sure how to format this, other than just jumping right into it. F17. I'm the oldest of 3 living with my 2 siblings. F14 and M10. And our mother. Our father left when my brother was born. And afterwards we moved states closer to family for help. Since then I've been helping my mom with raising my siblings the best I can. We've had family come over to help when I was busy and my mom was at work. But for the most part it was just the 4 of us. When we moved, I was placed back in school as soon as I could be. I've always been more quiet than most, and living in a new state only made the social awkwardness worse. But eventually, I met another girl around my age, and we started to become good friends. The girl, Alana, and I started doing a lot together. It only took a couple years, if not less, to be considered like family. A little over 5 months ago, Alana and I started dating. We took it very slow, and kept it to ourselves. Last month when we hit 5 months, she convinced me to tell my mom. She was fine with the ex-boyfriends I've had, and based off prior comments seemed to support the LGBTQ+ community. Last Sunday, I decided to tell her. Alana spent the night, because she wanted to be with me when I told my mom. So in the morning we both sat her down with us at the dining room table. When we told her, she freaked out. She said all sorts of Angie things at us. My girlfriend and I tried to keep our cool, but before the conversation was over I was in tears and she was clearly pissed. That was the only time I've ever swore at my mother. I left the house for a few hours. I needed to relax and calm down before making any hasty decisions. When I returned later, I opened the door to see my suitcase packed and sitting next to the couch. I took the hint, grabbed it, and left again. I've been staying with Alana since. But it's difficult because her parents don't know about us either. And they just know my mom and I got into an argument. This week my phone's been blowing up with family members criticizing me for leaving my siblings and mom like that. I can only assume they've been given one half of the story. But maybe I'm wrong. My mom hasn't called or messaged since. I feel sorry. But at the same time I don't know if she understands how she hurt me. So Reddit, am I the jerk here? Relevant comments. Why did Alana convince you to tell your mom? She wanted to start easing into who we told. Our friends knew, but that was them more finding out than being told. She wanted to tell hers, too, but because of the remarks my mom made before, which made it seem like she supported the community, thought it'd be better to start with her. Now that I think about it, my mom didn't yell at Alana as much as she did me. I guess she's one of those, they're fine, just not related to me, people or something. Seeing the number of comments about this, I guess I should have clarified better. Alana wanted to tell her parents too, but thought it'd be easier to tell my mom first because she seemed like she'd be more supportive. It's also easier to tell one before telling two. It wasn't so much convincing me to tell my mom, but the 2 of us to start coming out together, starting with my mom. Now we're both scared to tell anyone else. Is it possible your mom was more upset about you sharing a bed than anything else? Quote, well, the lack of a platonic relationship doesn't imply a sexual one. We didn't say anything like that. just that we were now romantically involved. Another commenter also said that we probably should have told her first. And they're probably right. Hindsight is 20/20 and all. I've mentally blocked out a lot of what was said. Truth be told, I'd love to give direct quotes for context. But I just can't. But I have to believe that if it was mentioned during the start of the argument that her issue was us not telling her, it wouldn't have ended up with me in tears and on someone else's couch. Oop is voted NTA. Update post. May 20th, 2023. 1 week later. In my last post, a lot of you sent some sweet comments my way. I appreciate all the support. Even some of the more controversial comments did provide some great insight. I took a lot of these to heart, and went to see if I can fix things. Firstly, I called my father. Our relationship is strained, being separated and not seeing each other often. But he's made it to some of my bigger events since the divorce. Double digits. Sweet 16. Mostly birthday stuff but sometimes other things. He never wanted us to move away. Just felt he couldn't handle a third kid at the time. I digress. I called him, and it went to voicemail. I found myself crying into the phone as I relived the past 2 weeks. But I made sure to word it as, "Mom kicked me out because I have a girlfriend." He called back a few hours later and said he'd see what he can do to help. And will keep me updated. And ask me to do the same. Secondly, on Tuesday, I talked to Alana about us telling her parents. Between people saying I should to get their support and those saying I shouldn't in fear of more backlash. It wasn't an easy choice. I was hoping worst case scenario, my dad would be able to help. And in the best case, we'd have 3 adults rooting for us. She was hesitant, seeing how things went with my mom, but ultimately agreed. We sat her parents down similarly to my mom. When I say we, I really mean she did most of the talking. I was still worried things would go wrong. She started off by simply explaining why I've been here for over a week during class finals. We tried coming out to my mom, which created an argument, and led to me getting kicked out. Her father said he wished we had told him sooner. And, "I'm sorry for failing you too. For making this feel like an unsafe place to be who you are." Alana's stepmom and dad talked for a few minutes before coming back with new rules. They wanted their couch back. If that meant dusting off the air mattress from when we were kids. Or just getting some extra blankets. They didn't really care. We do us. So long as it isn't illegal and we don't get into trouble. But that said, since I was now under their roof in a slightly less temporary way, I'd have to start following the same rules Alana did. Curfew, grades, things like that, all of which I agreed to. Her parents are going to take us back to my house today. I want to give my mom another chance. I mean, I don't get how you can just walk away from someone after your entire life. I'm either going to get the documents I need, or my mom back. In the latter case, I still don't know if I'm going to go back to sleeping there quite yet. I'm still hurt. After talking to my sister, she understands and would rather me stay away if needed. My brother's a little confused, but says he just wants us all to be happy. Thank you all again for your overwhelming support and advice. Relevant comment. One more clarification on Alana and Op coming out. This was something I wanted to clarify in this post if I wasn't limited to 3,000 characters after seeing people's reactions to the first post. She wanted the two of us to start coming out together. That's why she was with me when we first told my mom. My mom seemed supportive, and her parents never really hinted one way or another until we told them. Telling one supportive person is easier than trying to tell 2 unknown people. Neither of us knew how it'd go, so I don't fault her. She feels awful about it still, but I'm trying to reassure her that there was no way of knowing. Mini update in comments. May 27th, 2023. 1 week later. How did it go picking up your stuff? She wasn't even there. She was at work. But all the documents we needed were left on the table. So I guess that's that. Guessing my dad called ahead to make sure everything was ready. Update post 2, October 10th, 2023. Almost 5 months later. //////////. Good evening, friends and enemies. All 209 of you who followed this account looking for an update. Lucky for you all, I was able to remember my password again. AITA doesn't allow for more than one update. But on that note, I can follow up more thoroughly here. All the comments talking about legal action. Well, none of those really got much input from me. It just seemed like so much at the time. And I knew the best way I could help my siblings was to be their escape when they need me to. But also not do anything to leave their residency as questionable as mine. Alana and I are still together. And very happy. Should be hitting 11 months at the end of this month. By far the longest and most authentic relationship either of us have been in. It's had some rough moments with family drama and all. But frankly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. She even had me pitch in my thoughts when redecorating her room this summer. Trying to make it feel more like our room, I guess, lol. Her family has been incredibly sweet as well. I feel like I've been such an inconvenience. But they hardly seem to notice. Or at least try to not let me think I am an aunt or grandparent's sibling here and there who don't agree with our lifestyle. But they don't get humored much by the rest of them. Heaven knows our biggest fighter is right by my side half the time. My dad's been trying to help the best he can. There's little he really can do after all. But he's trying. I DK how much he's talking to my mother in all this. If at all. But I still appreciate his efforts. Kinda wish it didn't take this to hear from him more. But it's nice to know he's still looking out for me after all these years. My sister and I have been doing things more now that school's started back up. I try to help her with her homework. Or just hang out to help blow off some steam. She still wishes I was home for all of this. But knows she wouldn't be either if she were in my shoes. She's also been keeping me up to date with my brother. He's starting to understand things more. But she also told me something I don't think I can forget. She told me about my mom. My mom's not taking things so well. According to my sister, she's a mess. Not as happy as she used to be is the easy way of putting it. Still taking care of my sister and brother. Trying to not let it affect them. But noticeably not well. Apparently my sister has caught her lingering by my door a couple times. But she still hasn't messaged me since our falling out. Well, apparently there's been a whole lot of miscommunication. My mother packed my suitcase after our fight. Yes. However, she seems to recall hearing me say something about leaving before I stormed off. After she calmed down and processed her emotions, she packed a case and wrote a note. The note was supposed to be on the coffee table next to my suitcase. I just must have missed it. My sister paraphrased the note, but she recalls it saying something along the lines of my mother apologizing for the argument. Saying she hopes I can forgive her, but if not, she wanted to make it easier for me to not be stuck in such an awful home for any longer than I needed to. This had me confused, because if that were the case, why didn't she ever text or call me? Not even a letter or email? Why did nobody else know of this note until my sister found out a couple weeks ago? What about the initial family blowback? I'm honestly quite confused. It's been some time though, so I might try and re-establish some contact with my mother again. To get some answers for myself. I don't know what I'll do with them. If anything, I might update you again. I might not. Only time will tell. Thank you guys for your support with the initial 2 posts of my melodrama. Take care. TBH, maybe I read too much Reddit, but I question the existence of the note. It feels like I'm starting to get blowback, nervous about OP's side getting back to the family, so I need an out on the whole version of events. I told my family, spinning it as yet another abandonment. That update is so odd. My money is on mom using sister as a flying monkey to guilt trip Op. Pretty sure that note never existed. Yeah, there was no note. I'm betting there was no note and mom misses the Op for all she did for her siblings. Mom is turning sister into a flying monkey. Oop needs to tell sister. Mom knows where she is at and hasn't made one attempt to talk. And Oop needs to tell sister to stop being the go-between. Obviously, we only have partial retelling and zero tone in a story online about a written note. But it honestly sounds exactly like the type of thing my mom would have said. She wanted to make it easier for me to not be stuck in such an awful home for any longer than I needed to, is something that she would have said in the most sarcastic and histrionic manner. Like as a way of making me seem like the ridiculous one who was victimizing her by making it seem like the only ever-loving roof she so magnanimously put over my head was such a terrible place to live. So Op was the co-parent. Mom showed her phobic ass when Op came out and pitched Op from the home. Mom suddenly realized it's harder to parent alone, so she's backpedaling in coward's fashion. I don't know really. The update is odd and things aren't looking good still. Honestly, I don't believe there was a note. LMAO. I've never seen a comment section as universal as this one denying the existence of a note. I believe there was a note as much as I believe Dad left because he just couldn't handle a third kid at the time. Dear Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't callin'. I left my cell, my pager and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back in autumn. You must not have got 'em. OOP's mom may be regretting it. Like, truly. But I am betting my right kidney that note never existed. At least not when she kicked Oop out. And I say that BCS seeing this. I find her mom is capable of writing it now as evidence that it was all miscommunication. In any case, I am glad Oop has Alana and her family, and that her sister and brother support her. That's some classic vicarious gaslighting at the end. And sadly, this story feels more real than most on BORU. Especially given it's a child writing. If mom cared, she'd have called. She playing the victim for sympathy points. But I'm not sure who's going to end up caring about her once the dust settles and her children never want to see her again. Yeah, I think this is OOP's mom trying to retcon history to make herself the victim here. Oh, I didn't mean for you to leave. You always think the worst of me. Quote. Oop has been helping raise her siblings since she was 7. I'm not surprised after seeing how her parents both looked at their personal responsibilities and let them go with a quiet, oopsie. There was no note. The mom is facing backlash and regrets and invented a note to save face. There was no note. If there was, then OOP's mom would have been in touch by now. She might be regretting her reaction and genuinely missing her daughter. But there was nothing to misunderstand about it. She threw her 17-year-old child out of the house. I hope Oop realizes she's being lied to and has nothing to feel guilty about. Even if there was a note, her mom, who is the actual adult in this situation, has still made no effort whatsoever to contact her daughter. Not even just to check she's okay. That's damning evidence as to her stance in itself. The mom probably told the other kids that BC they were judging her. If mom regretted blowing up at OOP, why did she pack the suitcase? If she could say those words in the note, then she could say them in person. Furthermore, When the dad got in contact about Oop needing her documents, why didn't mom arrange a time when she would be home so they could talk or tell the dad what she said in the note? There was either no note, or pride and self-righteousness keeps the mom from reaching out. I cannot imagine a scenario that would have me basically abandoning my child. Thank goodness Oop has a safe place to stay with her girlfriend and that her parents care about her. If the note was real, it's still passive-aggressive and cruel. She couldn't even make up with a decently positive spin. There was no note, mother's backpedaling because she didn't think her daughter would actually leave.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. EpicAriaCast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.